Today we're going to cover opportunities for you to win in real estate. We're going to cover my marketing and how that helps you, and I'm going to help you understand the Atlanta real estate market and how that can benefit you. So before I get started, also, one of my teammates from Sarasota, Florida is here. This is Kim Martinez, and she specializes in second homes and investment homes in the Sarasota market, and we're really happy to have her. Absolutely. So listing your home requires more expertise than a realtor helping you with the buy side of the transaction. So it's very important that you choose someone who understands how to negotiate, market, and get you the best results for your home. In all actuality, it's really about 10% of the realtors sell 90% of the homes. So even though there are about 30,000 real estate agents in Atlanta, there are really only about 10% of those agents that are really active and doing most of the transactions. And you want to make sure you have someone like that representing you, because your house on average can sell between 91% and 99% of list price. For today, the examples that I'm going to use is for a $400,000 house. And that's because the average house in Atlanta sells for $265,000. But the average house in this part of Atlanta, in North Atlanta, is really closer to $400,000. So if you look at an 8% difference on a $400,000 house, that's $40,000. That's $40,000 difference that your choice of realtor will make. So it's very, very important. Okay, so as I talk about what's going on in real estate and my marketing strategy and what has helped me become ranked in the top 1% of Atlanta realtors, it all comes back to price it right and show it perfectly. So don't ever get lost in all of the information. The number one thing we want to do is price it right, show it perfectly, and get it sold. If you price it right, you show it perfectly, it will sell. On average, we're selling houses in 17 days. Those are houses 500 and below. It takes a little bit more for the houses that are above 500. We're going to start off and talk about the short sales and foreclosures. Short sales and foreclosures are distressed sales. The term distressed means it's not a retail transaction. Those are short sales and foreclosures. So this right here is Atlanta. We're located right here at the Cobb. This is 285. We're located right here at the Cobb Galleria. I don't know if you can see the red is 10% or more. So basically what you can see is in Atlanta, there are no more short sales and foreclosures available. And that's a misconception, because a lot of people are thinking that there are a lot of short sales and foreclosures. People come to me and say, hey, I want a deal. And the assumption is if you go after a foreclosure that you can buy that house 80 cents on the dollar, but in actuality, that ship has sailed. From 2010 to 2013, there were short sales and foreclosures, but since then, most of those transactions have just kind of gone away. If you look at the light green right here, this is 2% or less. This is Sandy Springs. This is where we are now. There are not short sales and foreclosures taking place in this part of Atlanta. Less than 2% of the homes sold were short sales and foreclosures. We're looking at the second quarter of 2015. Sound good? Okay, so we are now looking at when a house sells, where are those buyers coming from? The number one place that buyers are coming from, 43% of buyers are coming from the internet. 33% of buyers are coming from a real estate agent. That's roughly 75% of buyers are coming from the internet and realtors. So when you choose someone to market your home by listing the property for sale, you want to make sure that person has a strong marketing background and they understand how to blast the house, launch the house, relaunch the house if it's unsuccessful at first, in order to get to market extremely well over the internet and be very likable and court the attention of other realtors in the city, because it takes two realtors to sell a house. There is the realtor that represents the seller, and then there's the realtor that represents the buyer. Okay, this is a list of how, when we list a house, this is what takes place. When we list a house for sale, it goes on the MLS immediately. In Atlanta, homes are sold in there are two MLSs. There's the Georgia MLS, which covers the state of Georgia, and that's how real estate is sold. And there's FMLS, which covers North Atlanta. In this part, you want your house in both of those. From Keller Williams is the largest, most dominant real estate company in the Atlanta market, and Keller Williams has its own MLS as well. Within 24 hours of listing your house with our team, we will blast that house onto almost 80,000 websites within 24 hours. And you just saw me say that 43% of buyers come from the internet. That is extremely important, that your house look very, very, very good on the internet. Buyers don't come to your house to shop for it. They shop for your house online, and they come to your house to confirm the purchase. So let me say that again. Buyers shop for your house online. They come to confirm the purchase. So your house has to look amazing on the internet to get the buyers in the door. And you get the buyers in the door, then hopefully you'll get offers coming, and then hopefully you'll have someone strong that can negotiate those offers up and get you the most money off the sale of your house. And by the way, we're always working to sell the house for the most money in the least amount of time with the least amount of hassle or headaches, whichever you like better. Yeah. Again, 43% of buyers are coming from the internet. That's why we're blasting your listing and putting it out there everywhere. We have a world-class photographer that photographs every house that we list, and those pictures are critical because buyers are not on the internet to read about it. They're on the internet to look at it. And just as someone who's worked in real estate for a long time, I feel like it is almost a crime to a seller to not have professional pictures taken when you list your house, because if you don't, you're just leaving money on the table. And it's critical. Very, very, very important. All right, so we're going to talk about here, this is a slide that real estate people refer to as the American Idol chart, because it's a lot of people that think they can sing and then people that really can. Let me explain. We're going all the way back to 2007. That's important because 2007 was the height of the market before the recession started. Can everybody hear me good? Okay, excellent. So we're going from 2007 all the way to 2016. The red are all the houses listed for sale. The blue are the houses that actually made it to the closing table. Let me say that one more time. The red are all the houses listed for sale. The blue are all of the houses that actually closed, that actually made it to the closing table. The goal is not to list your house for sale. The goal is to get it sold. There's a difference. There's a big difference. One of the things you'll note, we just went through the Great Recession. Even through the Great Recession, the same amount of houses sold in Atlanta year after year. What changed is the amount of houses that were listed. In 2007 or 2008, there were a lot of houses available, but only 1 in 10 houses were actually selling. If you come, and this is a buyer's market, by the way. This is a buyer's market. This is a seller's market. A buyer's market is when the buyer has the advantage. So in a buyer's market, there are a ton of houses for sale and very few buyers looking. In a seller's market, there are, let me get this right. Seller's market, the seller has the advantage. So there's a ton of buyers looking, and the seller's market is when the seller has the advantage. That means that there are a lot more buyers and very few houses to choose from. There we go. That's it. So, but even if you look right now in 2016, real estate right now is amazing. It's great. It's an awesome time to be in real estate. It's an awesome time to sell. However, even with that said, only about 1 in 3 houses that are listed make it to the closing table. Even right now in an amazing market, Atlanta is the #3 real estate market in the country. Very good market. Even still, 1 in 3 houses that are listed actually make it to the closing table. So what happens to those people? They have to list again. They take the house off the market and decide they'll wait a year, come to the home show and see if they can improve the house. You know, they have to weigh other options. But even right now, only 1/3 of the homes listed make it to the closing table. I started off the presentation by saying we want to price it right and show it perfectly. That is my marketing strategy. Price it right, show it perfectly. Price it right, show it perfectly. On a $400,000 house, this is the market value, $400,000. It's critical to price it right. If you price it correctly, then 60% of buyers you'll get on the radar of 60% of buyers. On a $400,000 house, if you overprice the house by 10%, so that's $440 instead of $400 because you just want to test the market to see how it reacts. Now you only have 30% of buyers coming. That's a major difference. On that $400,000 house, if you price it 10% below, so you price that $400,000 house at $360, you have 75% of realtors, 75% of buyers, you're on their radar. The strategy of let's test the market high and come down is not effective because a buyer, you only have one chance to make a first impression. And when that house comes on the market, if this gentleman right here comes to see the house and he and his wife make a decision, we don't like that house. You reduce the price by $30,000, 2 weeks later, he's gonna say, we've already seen it, we don't like it. You're not gonna say, well, they had a price reduction, let's reevaluate everything. It doesn't work that way. So what you wanna do is, at the very least, price it correctly or price it below market value. And let me explain that. 20% of homes in the Atlanta market sold at or above list price in the second quarter of 2016. That's 1 in 5 houses sold at or above list price. It is very possible for you to sell your price in the Atlanta market above list price. The way that's done is we kind of create a frenzy. We get a lot of buyers, we get a lot of offers. That's referred to as multiple offers. And so we say, hey, George, we got 3 offers on the house. By Tuesday at 5 p.m., I need you to send your highest and best offer. Have Trey write it up for you. And those offers come in, it creates like an auction. So it was listed for, the goal was to sell a $400,000 house. This person listed it for $360. They got 4 offers on the house. They called for highest and best on Tuesday. Somebody came in at $375, somebody else came in at $390, someone came in at $400, and the last person came in at $405. That is how people sell real estate for full list price or above. When you want to get full price for your home, you cannot have one good buyer and squeeze all the money out of them. When you want to get full list price for your home, you have to have 2 or 3 or 4 buyers, all wanting your house. And somebody is going to say, my wife deserves this house. And it's not going to be a business decision, it's going to be an emotional decision, and you're going to win as a seller. That's how you make the most money off the sale of your house. So what you have to understand is most buyers can pay a lot more than you're shopping for. It happens to me every week. Somebody's shopping for a house, they can't find anything in their price range. I take them up $50,000, they find a great house. So what you have to know is the goal is to get them on the hook. You want to get one offer out of them. And if you can get one offer out of them, within 2 or 3 days, we can negotiate that up to a very impressive sale. Their first offer is usually not what they actually pay for the house. Their first offer was $358. Their final offer was $405. It took 3 days to get them there, 2 days to get them there. That's why negotiation, the skill set of negotiation is the #1 skill set. That's how I add the most value to any of my buyers and sellers. And I think that's the way any really good realtor adds the most value, because a lot of people could open up a house, a lot of people can do several of the other things that I do. I have a team, a lot of that can be delegated out. However, being a negotiating expert is how you win. The average house in Atlanta is selling at 96% of list price. My average listing is selling at 98% of list price. The average sale in Atlanta is 96% of list price. My buyers are consistently getting houses at 92 and 93% of list price. The difference there is a negotiating expert that's getting results. And if you do the math, 3% difference on a $400,000 house, it's $12,000. That's a $12,000 difference just because you chose an industry professional over just somebody you had a good feeling about. Who you choose to be your realtor is not a favor that you give to your brother-in-law. It's a position that you interview and hire for, just like any other job. If you're wanting to choose between Jeff and Amy, I recommend you bring Jeff and Amy into your house the same evening. You talk to Jeff at 6:30, you talk to Amy at 7:15, and you let both of them interview for the job of being your realtor. And it should be crystal clear who's going to give you the best chance to win. If you need a third option, it can be Trey. But you interview agents. Again, $400,000 house, the goal is to get full list price. For you to sell a $400,000 house for $400,000 or $415,000 or $405,000, you need to get 3 buyers, at least 3. One is not enough, not for you to sell for full list price, and that's always the goal. My average is selling at 98% of list price, and that's because several of my transactions have been 100, 102, 101, and that brings the average up to that. Price reduction. Again, the marketing strategy, price it right, show it perfectly. If you, on a $400,000 house, if you price the house correctly, this is not my opinion, in the second quarter of 2016, these are all the transactions that took place in the Atlanta market. If at a $400,000 house, if you price the house correctly, it will sell in 11 days. If you overprice that house, it'll sell in 110 days. That's 10% longer. That's very important, because anybody that sold a house knows that showings are not fun for the people that live there. You have to clean up the house, nothing can be on the counter, all the beds need to be made. If you have a dog, a lot of times the dog is pulled out the house for the showing. You turn on all the lights. Showings are great because they get you your house sold, but they're not fun. And if you have a choice of selling the house in 11 days or 110 days, you definitely want to go with 11 days. So of course you have to price the house correctly. Price it right. It's very important. And from a money standpoint, it takes on a $400,000 house or a $300,000 house, it takes about $3,000 a month to run that house or keep that house on the books. A lot of people have moved to another state or already moved to another home. So if you keep the house on the books for an additional 2 or 3 months at $3,000 a month, in 3 months it costs you $9,000 just to keep it on the market. It costs you $9,000 just in carrying cost. You have to factor that in. Okay? Price it right, show it perfectly. This shows what percentage of the list price you get for your house depending on how long it stays on the market. The longer your house stays on the market, the least amount of money that you're going to get for it. My booth here at the Atlanta Home Show is Sell Your Home in 30 Days. Every day somebody walks up to me and says, I don't want to sell my house in 30 days. I want to sell my house for the most money. And I say, you always get the most money in the first 30 days. When your house, the first weekend or the second weekend that your house is on the market, that's when somebody pays full list price. If your house, the 15th, 10th, they're looking for a deal. You know, they're like, well, we'll send them 50,000 below and see if they'll take it. Nobody sends you an offer like that the first weekend it's on the market. This is week 4. In the first month, you should be able to sell your house at 96% or more the first weekend it's on the market. From there, it just goes down. This is the first month. This is the second quarter of 2016. It's not my opinion, this is the data. This is what took place in the Atlanta real estate market. The second month, we're down to like 92 or 93. So at 93 to 99, that's a 4% difference. 4 and 4, 16. That's a $16,000 penalty that you paid because your house wasn't priced correctly. Price it right, show it perfectly. Get the most money for your home. You have to sell it in the first 30 days to maximize your net off the house. You want to make the most money for your house, it needs to be great on day 1 and sell in the first 30 days. All right. So I talked earlier, only 1 in 3 houses that are listed actually make it to the closing table. Of all the houses that do make it to the closing table, we're going to kind of look at the data there. So of the houses that actually closed in the second quarter of 2016, on average, they got 97.5% of list price and they sold the house in 27 days. Of the ones that priced it correctly, they got 99.5% and they sold it in 12 days. About 70% of people did that. These are the people that priced their house incorrectly. They came out too high and they required a price reduction in order to sell their house. They sold for 92% of list price in 120 days. All right, and so if we come down even further, I hope I'm not being confusing here. Is everybody with me? Everybody with me? Cool. All right, so other people, they did not require price reduction. Let's further break that down. This is green. This is where you want to be. If you do everything correctly, this is what will happen. Your house will sell at 99.6% of list price in 9 days. That means that you got the right price, you got the right agent, you hit a home run. If you come over here, you got the wrong agent, you got the wrong price, but you made it to the closing table. It's 91% of list price. It took you 186 days to do that. From 91 to 99 is an 8% difference. 8 times 5, 8 times 4 for a $400,000 house is 32. That's a $32,000 difference on the same exact house. For a $400,000 house, this person walked away with like $396. This person walked away with a lot less. This is where you want to be. Price it right, choose the right agent. You'll sell at 99.6% list price in 9 days. All right. Okay. So let's talk about, I talked about before whether we were in a seller's market or a buyer's market. Let's talk about the difference. The title of my speech today was how to sell in a seller's market. It is a seller's market. And a seller's market is because the seller has the advantage. There are more buyers looking than houses available. The reason it's a seller's market, okay, even though it's a seller's market, it's not a seller's market for everyone. It's a buyer's market for some. It's a seller's market up to about $500,000. At $3 million, that's a buyer's market. So the question is, where does the break take place? Where does it quit being a seller's market and start being a buyer's market? The reason that when you ask people, they say it's a seller's market is because most people live in a house that's 500 or below, so it's a seller's market for most people. However, at 500,000, it starts to become more of a buyer's market. At $1 million, it's an extreme buyer's market. So 500 and below, it's a seller's market. Above 500 is a buyer's market. So the opportunity for you in real estate right now is to sell in a seller's market and buy in a buyer's market. So if you can sell your house at 400,000, and then you take that house and move up into a house that's 650,000 or 600,000, you're going to sell for top dollar and buy at a very reasonable, you'll get a really good deal. You'll win with both transactions. Okay, so 2007 was the height of the market before the Great Recession took place. This is 2007 right here. It's the green, and you can see it right here. The green, that's the height of the market before the recession. Okay? The red is where we are in 2016. The market is awesome. The market is amazing. It gets no better. The market is really, really, really good right now. So this is where we are right now. This is where we were before the recession started. Your home prices are up. These are good times, whether it feels like it or not. A lot of times it doesn't feel like an amazing market until it shifts and becomes a bad market. And you know, last year was actually pretty good. You realize it later after the market shifts. But during that time, you don't always understand it. But you can see right now, these are good times. I'm going to talk about a real estate cycle. A real estate cycle is kind of like from a good market to another good market. A real estate cycle in Atlanta is about 10 years. It used to be 20, but the Olympics kind of speeded things up a little bit, and it's 10 now. So this is what a real estate cycle looks like. In 2007, that was the height of the market before we experienced the Great Recession. The bottom of that was 2010. This is where we are in 2016. So what does that mean? Don't be afraid. I mean, it's great. The market is the best that it's been since 2010. And it's been improving year after year after year after year, and that's awesome. But if you do the math, it's been improving every year since 2010. The sun cannot shine forever. Rain is gonna come. A good market for 6 years, eventually it has to correct itself. So a real estate shift is coming. No one knows. It's like predicting the weather. I mean, it could happen in 2 months, it could happen in 18 months. But a real estate market is coming. Times are good right now. It's like you're in Vegas. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. You're up 20 grand when you started off with $1,000. The smart thing to do is get your money and go to bed, wake up tomorrow happy. You could make more money at 3 a.m., but it's highly unlikely. So this is where we are right now in terms of real estate values. They are as good as they're probably going to be, and at some point the market is going to have to correct itself, and when it corrects itself, it's not going to be as bad as we just experienced. I mean, that was a great recession. It's just not the good time, it's just going to level off. I mean, you can't have great improvement every year. In 2015, the real estate market increased like 6.8%. People's incomes only increased 1%. Inflation increased 4%. So the market has to level off and correct itself at some point. I did this beautiful artwork, by the way. So I want you to think of this market kind of like a roller coaster at Six Flags. This is Atlanta in the last car. These are some of the other weaker markets around the country. The fact that a shift is coming is not my opinion, that's a fact. We're already seeing it in other parts of the country. Atlanta is just an extremely strong real estate market. Atlanta is the third strongest real estate market in the country. So because we're such a strong real estate market, the shift will not affect us as fast as it will affect other people. But it's kind of like if it was raining in Kennesaw, we know it's going to rain here eventually. It just hasn't started, but in 5 or 10 minutes it's going to start raining here. That's how it is here. This is the shift. We're seeing it in other markets around the country. This is Atlanta. These cars are going to keep on moving, and Atlanta's going to get here, and then Atlanta's going to get here, and it's going to come on around. And I don't say that to scare you. I just say that to let you know this is an awesome time, and you need to understand that your home value is probably about as good as it's going to get. And if you were thinking about selling in the next 2 or 3 years, you might want to push that up, and you might want to consider doing that in the next much sooner. Yeah. And basically, this is kind of what it looks like. You know, like I did all this, but you know, when you look at a real, that's what the market looks like. It's increasing. It's just taking little dips every now and then. And it's not time for us to have another recession. It's just time to have a little dip. And when we talk about, this reminds me of a good point. Interest rates are at an all-time low right now. Buyers' interest rates are at 3.8%. They're about as good as they're gonna get. And so that means buyers have a lot of purchasing power. So interest rates will go up from 3.8% soon. No one really knows, but probably after we get another president. So if interest rates go up 1%, the buyer's budget goes down 10%. If interest rates go up 1%, the buyer's budget goes down 10%. So if we have a $400,000 buyer, if interest rates go up 1%, that same $400,000 buyer became a $360,000 buyer. But they're still shopping for $400,000 houses. That money is going to come from the seller, because that seller is going to sell that $400,000 house for $360,000. So interest rates will go up, and when they go up, they're going to affect buyers, because buyers' budgets are going to go down, and they're going to affect sellers, because sellers, the buyers aren't going to have as much purchasing power, and you're going to have to negotiate to make deals happen. Let's talk about staging homes. Staging homes is very important. A lot of people think staging is bringing stuff in because you watch like HGTV and stuff like that. Staging is not really about bringing stuff into your house. Staging is about neutralizing and decluttering. Staging is about neutralizing and decluttering. We have 2 professional stagers on our team. They come in and they'll give you a free staging consultation if you came from this home show. But they don't come in recommending you spend a lot of money. Neither do I. We don't want you to spend a lot of money. We just want you to neutralize, declutter, and price it right. However, 95% of homes that are staged will get 17% more for the same exact house. That's almost 20% more for the same house because it was staged. And One of the things, neutralize and declutter, what I want you to kind of take away from that is, I need you to move halfway out the house. Right now your living room has 7 pieces of furniture in there. Let's get it down to 4 pieces. Yes, I said 4. And the reason I said that is because when you have less furniture in a room, it appears larger. And every buyer, whether it's a $100,000 buyer or $1 million buyer, they're looking for a big house. Everybody wants the biggest house that they can get for their budget. Everybody. And so we need your house to appear big. If you take this table off the stage will look bigger. If you have 4 or 5 or 6 pieces of furniture in one room, if we remove 3 of those, the room is going to look larger. You can try it when you get home if you don't believe in it. I do it every day. So staging is very important. Remember, staging, neutralize, declutter, move halfway out the house. A lot of people move a lot of their stuff into their garage and just neatly stack it. So when you are getting your house ready for the market, this is kind of before, this is after. So we've cut down some of the shrubs, we've made the blue white, and the house is going to get more money because of it. Declutter and clean. This is how they live as a happy family. But now that we're putting the house on the market, we're going to eliminate the excess clutter, and we're going to show the house like this. Repurpose rooms to appeal to the masses. This is where the kids play. We're going to repurpose the room to put it on the market. These are really easy changes. My stagers will come meet with you, and you can do all of this within a week or so. Neutralize and declutter. This is before, this is after. This was a beautiful dining room for someone. There is no critique other than this is not going to appeal to the masses. Let's appeal to the masses. Here we go. I don't want you spending a lot of money to get your house ready for the market, but if you are going to spend money, your money goes to furthers with paint and pine straw. These are several inexpensive things you can do to get your house ready for the market. Staging, very important. Landscaping, really important. Repair any electrical or plumbing. If there are like defects in your house, just fix them. Because buyers always assume it's going to cost a lot more. Like I just listed a house, and in the master bedroom it had squeaky floors. It wasn't a big deal to them. They've been living like that for 15 years. But the carpet guy came in there and fixed that for $600. You know, like, you want to fix the small things that are wrong with your house, because a buyer hears that and like, oh, the foundation is messed up, it's going to cost us $5,000. It's just a squeaky floor. The same thing for paint. If a room needs to be painted, then the buyer's going to assume, man, it's going to cost us $10,000 to paint this whole house. You could paint the house for $300. You could paint that room for $300. Lighten and brighten. Everybody wants a light house. Nobody wants a dark house. Natural light is your friend. When we have showings at our listings, we recommend you turn on every single light in the house. Open the blinds, brighten up the house. It needs to look light, bright, refreshing, not gray and dark. Declutter. And again, all of these aren't costing you a lot of money. We don't need you to spend a lot of money. Let me leave you with this. The best athletes win more games. LeBron James wins more basketball games than most other people. A better realtor will get you more money for the same exact house than a realtor that does not perform as well. So when, you can say, oh, well, they're my friend. They had, they work full time with me and they haven't sold a house in 2 years, but they can handle it for me. If they get you to the closing table, do you think they're going to get you there at 99% of list price? Do you think they're going to have a relationship with the stager that's going to do all this? who you choose as your realtor is critical. On a $400,000 house, that could be a $40,000 difference. These are some popular questions that I'll always get from people, but I can take some questions from the audience, unless you want to talk about one of these categories. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, ma'am. She has them.
I'm looking to sell a home, and it's going to be, it's like, it'll look nice on me. Everything will look nice cosmetically, but I don't have any furniture in it. So what I need to stage it, compared to being overcluttered versus no furniture at all.
So is it completely vacant right now? There's nothing in it?
Correct.
Okay, so it's empty.
Yes.
Okay, so the question is, her house is empty. Does she need to stage it in order to sell it? It can sell vacant. What is this, a $200,000 house, $400,000 house, $100,000?
This would be more like a 130, 140.
Okay. At 130, that's an investor cash price point. We got some investors in the audience right here. That's an investor cash price point. There are a lot of investors, even from internationally, that are shopping for homes in Atlanta. At under $150,000, it'll pretty much sell itself. I mean, it'll attract offers, and it'll still help for us to negotiate the price up from whatever they're initially offered. But at that price point, I think you'll be okay. If you had told me $300,000 or $400,000, because that house is probably going to go to an investor. It's probably not going to go to an actual homeowner, but if it were $300,000 or $400,000, I would really recommend more of a staging the house. So that's a great question though, and it just kind of different person to person. Any other questions? All right, well, if you have any, just raise your hand. In the meantime, I'll address some of these categories right here. A popular question is for sale by owner. There are a lot of people who can fix a house themselves. They can do a lot of things themselves. And they say, thank you for coming. Y'all are awesome. I love you. For sale by owner, there are a lot of people that say, hey man, Trey, the market is so great, I could just do it myself. Why do I need to pay 3%? Or why do I need to pay 6%? I can do it myself. Maybe you can, but you won't do it as well, most likely, and it's not because I'm smarter, it's just because I have more tools and I negotiate these deals for a living. But, and this is an analogy I always say, it's like, Troy, that is a really nice watch right there. It almost looks like a Rolex. If you were gonna spend $20,000 for a Rolex, it's brand new, still in the box, would you pay for that at a garage sale? If you bought that brand new Rolex still in the box at the garage sale, would you pay full price for it? If you go to the Rolex store and there's a salesperson in a suit and it's in the case and it's shining, would you pay $20,000 for it then? Exactly, because people expect to pay full price when a salesperson is involved. People expect to pay full list price when they see that house is listed with Trey Cooper and Keller Williams. That house, we're selling it retail, not wholesale. And that's what you want. And with the for sale by owner, buyers in their head, they automatically think, oh, it's a for sale by owner, I'm gonna get a deal. You can't, if they're getting a deal, then that's your profit. And the numbers show that for sale by owners on average sell for 78% of what it would have sold for had it been listed with a full service broker. Any other questions? Or should I keep going? All right, master on main versus upstairs. This is extremely important, and a lot of buyers right now, especially buyers in their 60s and 70s, they really want a master on the main, but then they really don't want it, they really want it to be large. That's an oxymoron, really, because if this piece of paper is the floor plan, then a master on the main is going to be about as big as his business card. because there's a kitchen, there's a great room, there's a dining room, there's a lot going on that main level. So the master on main can't be but so large. The master upstairs, however, is going to be a quarter of this page. The second level is almost dedicated to the master. So it's not even like a bedroom, it's a master suite. And with the population aging, a lot of people are moving because they don't want stairs and that kind of thing. But you're gonna start to see a lot more elevators and stair lifts in houses. And the reason for that is it's a lot less expensive for a builder to build a 2-story home than it is for them to build a ranch. So basically, if we were all investors and we were going to build some houses, if it was $100,000 for us to build a ranch, it's like $120 to make it a 2-story. And a lot of the first-time home buyers, they don't want ranches. And even if you look into subdivisions right now, the new construction subdivisions, they'll have 5 different floor plans. One of them will be a ranch, 4 of them will be 2 stories, and the ranch is the one that's selling the slowest and it's the toughest to resell. So I'm not telling you that you can't have a master on the main. I'm just saying you should understand that you cannot expect the master on the main to compete with the master on the second level. The master on the second level is going to be bigger than this stage. It's going to have a sitting area. It's going to have the bathroom alone is going to be almost from here over. It's going to be like a resort almost. They're amazing. But you can't look at that and then say, well, I want that on the first level. It just doesn't work that way. Because if it did, then the whole first level would be nothing but a bedroom. Is there anything in particular I should cover? I'm wrapping it up in about 5 minutes here. First-time home buyers are in a lot of debt right now from college, from student loans, and that's affecting everybody in this room because most of you are on your second or third house. Well, first-time home buyers are buying houses a lot slower now because they're in so much debt. So because the first-time home buyer didn't buy their first house, that person that would have sold that first-time home buyer had to stay in there longer. They didn't move up to their second house. And so the third house, they can't move up. It's like a domino. If the first-time home buyer doesn't buy the $150,000 house, the $150,000 seller doesn't go buy the $300,000 house. And so the $300,000 house doesn't go buy the $700,000 house. And it slows everything down. Discount brokerages, so I'm a full-service broker with Keller Williams. In order for you to sell your house, there's a 6% broker fee or 6% commission paid when you sell your house. 3% stays with the person that represents you, the seller. 3% goes to the broker that brings a buyer. So there are concepts with discount brokerages where they say, we'll sell your house for 4%, we'll sell your house for 5%. What I would like for you to understand is it's not about saving that 1%. Your goal is to net the most money off the sale of the house. You saw me talk about there can be a 10% swing based on how good they are. The best realtors are not typically, there are exceptions to every rule, typically the best, most competitive, most skilled realtors are not at the discount brokerages as much. So that's something for you to think about. Also, you got to think about you're hiring this person to negotiate and get you the absolute most money for your home. If their value proposition to you is, I'll discount my money, what makes you think that they have the negotiation skills to negotiate for the most money for you? They started the conversation by saying, I'll do it less than anybody else will. Probably not the best. They're probably not going to get you full list price. They're probably not going to be able to do it for 99% of list price. Just being honest. All right, will you get a better deal if you go through the listing agent directly and don't hire a buyer's agent? A lot of people think, look, you know, I'm not gonna get a realtor to represent me. I'm buying a house, but I'm not gonna get anybody to represent me. I'm just gonna call the sign in the front yard, and they'll give me a better deal because I don't have a realtor. That is not true. Furthermore, you know, a home purchase is kind of like going to court. One realtor a lawyer represents the plaintiff and a lawyer represents the defendant. If one person doesn't have a lawyer, they're at a major disadvantage. When you call that listing agent, if I'm hired to sell this house and somebody off the street calls me to buy this house, my loyalty and my obligation is to my seller to sell this house for the absolute most money it can be sold for. So there's nobody protecting you. There's nobody representing you. And my job is to the seller. My job is not to you in that transaction. So you don't want to go to court alone, and you don't want to buy a house without representation, because if you come and buy one of my houses without a realtor, it's probably going to sell for more money. They hired me to sell the house for the most money they could sell for. And that just kind of is what happened. But if you have a realtor, they're going to submit an offer, they're going to negotiate on your behalf, they're going to walk you through the process, they're going to show you all the houses, they're going to make sure you're taken care of at a high level, assuming you make a great choice of realtor. How to pick the right realtor: interview multiple realtors if you're not sure who to go with. Who pays the buyer's agent? A buyer's agent representation to you is free. When you buy a house, it's free because the seller pays both sides of the transaction. A seller pays 6% whenever their house closes. And that covers the seller's 3%, the seller's agent, the seller's realtor's 3%, and the buyer's realtor's 3%. So, and if you were to bypass and not have an agent, then that seller's agent is just gonna make a full 6%, not just 3%. Any other questions? Yes, sir. Hold on for a second.
Do you recommend full disclosure for the sellers? Or no disclosure for the sellers?
Okay, so he's asking, do I recommend full disclosure for the seller or not disclosing? If it's a house that you've lived in, like if you've actually been living in the house for the last 10 years, and you'll fill out a seller's property disclosure, and that'll tell, has there been any insurance claims on the property, what is the condition, when was the roof built, how old is the HVAC, that kind of thing. And yes, I would recommend you do a seller's property disclosure. If you're an investor and you've never been to the house, or you've never lived at the house, or you don't really know what's going on with it, you're not really capable of filling out that disclosure. You know, if you bought this house 10 years ago and you've only been there 3 times yourself, or you've been a landlord, you've always had people living in there, sometimes they're not capable of filling it out, and at that point we'll just let them know there is no disclosure. But typically, if the person has lived in the house, there's a seller's property disclosure and a community association disclosure. And the community association tells, this is a swim tennis community and it's $400 a year. Or if it's a townhouse or condo, it'll be like $300 a month. Great question. Anything else? All right, well, my name's Trey Cooper. Thank you for having me. My booth is over here on the 1300 aisle. I specialize in helping people sell property and buy property. It'll be my pleasure to speak with you and serve you and your family. And my goal, of course, is to get you the absolute most money in the least amount of time with the least amount of hassle. Take care, and love to speak to you soon.